Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to the Vegan World 2026 Moonshot podcast. And today we are going to be talking about telling the truth and why we should never back down from telling the truth. And today I'm joined by none other than Ray, Vegan Ray. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank
It's
you, brother.
great to have you.
It's always great to be in your company. Always. I really mean that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I took this picture from your video, and it says, tell the truth in the background. It's tell the truth. So, I mean, we can't stop telling the truth. Telling the truth. So, what is your next move? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so thank you. So the next initiative that we have for the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative is to, riding on the heels of the G7 summit, which is happening in 10 days. So June 10th to the 13th, 7 world leaders from, from our world are getting together, and they speak about a lot of things. They speak about economics. They speak about all kinds of things. And one of the things that they chose to speak about, whether they did choose to speak about it or not, we would be there. One of the things they chose to speak about is the pandemic and the response to the pandemic. And if you go to their site, I've read quite a bit. I haven't read all of it, but read quite a bit. And unfortunately, they're talking quite a bit about the distribution of vaccines and how it was handled and how they could do it better and all this stuff. And while these all might be important, it's still not getting to the root cause. And we've spoken about this before. And I fear as a species, we're going to continue to speak about this until it just becomes so devastating to us, like that we can't avoid it. We've seen this happen in the world throughout this whole pandemic. This last year has been really massive. In my lifetime, I haven't seen anything affect the world in such a way, but still, it's an invisible conversation within, first of all major media, and I'd say even smaller in even environmental organizations and conservation and even animal rights organizations. Like, we have an opportunity here to really take this moment to tell the truth, and that's what we're doing. So we're asking people to come together once again. Our last initiative on May 1st, we had over 21 nations, over 65 organizations, and over 60 cities worldwide that took place and took action on one day to unite and speak about eating animals causes pandemics. And if you're interested, please go visit our website, eatinganimalscausespandemics.com. It's really an important issue. And, it's silly to even say it's important. It's vital. It's vital. It's really, if we just had one issue to grapple with, if we just collectively as a species grappled with one issue, it would be around eating animals causes lots of stuff. It just so happens to be pandemics right now. What about massive environmental devastation on a list of things that you, and I'm sure a lot of your followers know about. I'm sure we'll get into those. Eating animals causes massive subsidies. Eating animals causes massive irresponsibility in wealth distribution and distribution of our food that we're taking from poor nations to feed 70 billion land animals, to feed 7 billion people. It's a foolish thing. We were speaking about it a little bit earlier, just a few moments ago, and I just have this thought. I mean, most of us believe that there's intelligent life somewhere on another planet. Let's just say for a moment that we could agree that there is, but just imagine if intelligent life came from another planet to say, hey, what's going on? What are you guys doing here? The things that we're going to tell them and show them, they probably have been there and see it. That's why they're not hanging out. There's nothing to learn here other than what not to do. So it's sad because we have a brilliant and beautiful species. We can really get to the heights of such beautiful and brilliant things that we've created, and just the depths of them are equally paralleled. And most of us, like including yourself and me and all the people that we work with, and we're digging we're just keep scooping the water out of the boat, and everyone's just sailing around, and we're like, hey, we got water in the boat, we're taking that.
Right.
We could use our efforts to sail that boat to great heights. We would be in another place as a species. We have a lot of work to do. So that's the urgency. That's where we're talking about tell the truth. We're asking the media to tell the truth. We're asking specifically between June 10th and June 13th during the G7 summit, we're asking all of you to take action. 1 of you, 30 of you, 1,000 of you, whatever it is, you could do it in your own community. We've done it many times. Just take action. We'll talk about it in here, and you can visit our website again and see all that. We have a toolkit. We make it super easy to take action because it's just not enough to be vegan. It's just not enough. It's fantastic. We should all do that. But, for the reasons that we're all mostly vegan, we just don't have the time to just be vegan if we really believe what we're talking about. If we really believe about the climate urgency, if we really believe the pandemic urgency, if we really believe about what's happening with our own species that are dying of starvation, 36 million because we feed that food to animals. If we really believe the urgency around this, if we really believe about just so many things, racism, sexism, homophobia, all these isms are tied. We were talking about that earlier too. Like everything is really tied into this, and it's just important. It's just important. So that's where we are, and that's what we're doing for this month. We're doing actions every month. This is one of the actions that we're doing. So
awesome. Yeah. So last month when you did the actions on May 1st, right? Was the first one that you did.
Mm-hmm.
So how many? You said 21 cities you had.
21 countries and over 60 cities, over 65 cities worldwide, and 60 organizations, animal rights, conservation, environmental, and religious organizations got together to unify for that one day. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's really awesome. We need to keep the momentum going because, as you said, they haven't yet learned the lesson. They're just pretending not to hear us. Right.
Yeah, it's challenging. It's really challenging, and it's I've spoken to a handful of people over the week just in my regular daily routine, and people wearing masks. I'm tired of this. This is enough. I'm tired of it. It's like, so because you're tired, you're inconvenienced of wearing a mask, does that mean that you should not wear a mask? Like, so the virus is just going to go away because you're angry, you're pissed off, and now a virus is going to fly away and disintegrate? Like, none of us want this, but what are you going to do about it? And I think just saying that, if all of you are listening and you hear people that are slightly inconvenienced to massively inconvenienced, just please ask them what they're going to do about it, because we are all part of the cause of this if we are financially supporting the very industries that are responsible, let's just stay with the pandemic for now, that are responsible for this meat virus. One of 75% of all the pandemics that have occurred on this planet are the result of our use, abuse, and consumption of animals. Amidst all the other reasons why we should not be eating animals, this one specific reason, because it has affected us all, is paramount to our discoveries of food justice, to food industry, the beautiful products that people are creating, and everything that we can figure, environmentalism, everything, it's all really tied in. And the work that we're doing at Eating Animals Causes Pandemics is specific to one thing: facts and science. We could talk about vegan, we could talk about all these different things, and it's in a way, we're not avoiding talking about it. We're really just saying, listen, God forbid we use the V word. Anyone hears that, they melt away, right?
Yeah.
Just talk about the science. It's there. It's there. Dispute it if you want. Prove it. I have a friend of mine who's, has gone down a rabbit hole or two with a lot of ideas and theories that are maybe possible. I don't think we'll ever know the truth about it. But let's just put our feet on the ground and say, why would we think there's anything different when 75% of all other pandemics come from our use, abuse, and consumption of animals? Can we at least consider that, as opposed to some random video that somebody made on YouTube, or some papers that you didn't know that you saw somebody it's typed up and it looks valuable? Maybe it's true. I don't know. Just ground for a minute. Come on, haven't we suffered enough? Hasn't the planet suffered enough?
Right.
Sailesh, I'm here, and in my town we have CVS, we have Rite Aid, and all the stores have Tylenol and Advil and things to reduce any. But most countries don't. There's people suffering right now if they have COVID and they have headaches and all the symptoms from that, and they could easily not suffer, but if they had the things that we have in our country, we have hospitals and urgent care, we have everything here. So and we're still number one. We're still number one. If you take India and Brazil and you add those together, it still doesn't add up to the cases and deaths that we have here.
Right.
So, there's things to think about, man, that our nation and developed nations just don't think about, like access to Tylenol just to reduce a fever is just not available everywhere.
Right.
And we continue the habits and things that create these things, that create the suffering, and we just haven't felt the impact like others do. And I just want us to be mindful of that. I think I don't know that we've thought about that. I didn't think about that for quite a while, but I travel quite a bit, so I'm able to experience life in a different way, and I understand. Like, yeah, wow, like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Imagine folks that I've met in India, Nepal, Brazil, whatever. Like, they don't have access to the things that we have. So we have to be mindful as a global community, I think.
Awesome. So the G7 summit is happening in Cornwall, right? Is it in the UK?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what can people do in other places if they're not in the UK?
Yeah, beautiful. So again, you could do it anywhere. I will be doing it anywhere, which is New Jersey or New York City, which is right down the street. So we did a great event in New York City. No matter where you live, you have a government building. No matter where you live, there's some type of media, whether they come to you or you go to them. We're going to bring it to them. So we are going to New York City, and we are making a tour. We're making our rounds through all the major news networks and demanding that they pay attention. Demanding that we pay attention. We showed up at Fox last time, not because it's Fox, it's just because they were nearby where we were doing it in Times Square. And it's important. Again, we have to make demands. No one's going to listen. We have to make noise. No one's going to listen. Business goes on as usual. People, listen, you and I are talking. There's people on super high end, and they have the greatest medical care, the greatest attention, everything. And everyone down the road from that, we have considerations of how this has affected our life. And at the end of the day, those of us in this initiative, we've created this initiative to be easy. We have an extremely easy toolkit. Please reach out, go to our Facebook. It's Eating Animals Causes Pandemics. You can go to our website, Eating Animals Causes pandemics.com. You can go to eatinganimals_pandemics on Instagram. We have a toolkit that's extremely comprehensive and super easy to do. And we're asking people to join this performance protest absolutely every and anywhere that they can. And the most important thing is that you target media. You either go to them and or you contact them. And we have press release, we have everything. So please, to do it in your town, cool. You bring some awareness, great. Go to where lots of people are, but we have to really engage with media. So that's what people can do. It's a very simple performance protest. It was extremely successful. We call it three things: suits, signs, and siren. We have audio for a beautiful siren that captures people's attention with an urgent message around the pandemic. We also have signs. There's nothing to think about. You could take our images, send it off to Vegan Printing or your local printer. You get that back in a couple days. Absolutely no problem. If you want to do it at home, we have a software that breaks down things into like the 8x11 or to make the signs. Costs very little to do it at home. And the painter suits, you could get them at any local hardware store, or you could order them online. We have a link to that. It's all super easy. So that's what we've been doing. That's what you can do, and that's what we're asking people to do. Yeah.
So if people did it in May, do you want them to come back with the same signs, or they can do that, right?
They surely can, and the signs weren't cheap. We had some really great big. People had some huge signs in Australia and also in Europe and in Canada. Huge signs. I mean, it's not a cheap endeavor, and unfortunately, we made that investment because it's probably not going to go away absolutely anytime soon.
Right.
Or the messaging. And we do have the old signs, which are totally benign. It could be used at absolutely every and any date. If you could look kind of like behind my image here, you can, where it says 2020, we have a picture of COVID, it says eating out. So we have the specific pandemics that have occurred. We have some very simple signs. And then we do have G7 related signs that we had created for this event as well.
Okay, perfect. So if people come back, just don't give up, just keep coming back, with the same message, and go to media outlets, government buildings, stand in front of them and tell them that we know that eating animals causes pandemics, even if you pretend not to know, right? They're not pretending not to know. They all know that too.
They know it.
Right? They all know that. Unfortunately, they're beholden to their masters, their colonial masters, who are making money off the bodies of animals and the bodies of people who suffer from eating animals. This is a money-making venture.
Yeah, it was a great money-making venture this time, right? Did you see how much they made?
I know, it's really ridiculous. And
oh my God, man! Offer a vaccine, woo!
Yeah, for me, there is hope, because you see that the message does get through. Like, I do not know if this is related or not, but our white paper got published late April. And by late May, Cargill was proposing to put face masks on cows. I think that's a success story.
Oh, great job. Now we're going to get them for chickens, because avian flu will be coming out anytime now.
Right.
We're going to get ones for pigs. And, who knows what's going to happen with fish. And listen, if you want to make some cash and you weren't able to cash in on the vaccine, start developing face masks for animals. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Hooray for humans. We're brilliant. See, I told you before, we're brilliant. That'd be another thing we could add to the list when we talk to the beings from intelligent life forms coming out and walk and see our animals walking around with masks.
Yeah, I mean, it was to me. I've been an engineer for 20 years. 40 years actually, and in that time, I've had to evaluate a lot of proposals from people. Say, here is how we solve this. Here is how we solve that. And I've seen a bunch of great proposals and a bunch of ridiculous proposals.
Yeah.
And to me, this one takes the cake.
Oh yeah. This is great. I sometimes I think about that when I see really foolish ideas. You think about it, this, when you're part of an organization, you're part of a company, it's not just you, it goes through people. How many people that pass through is like, great idea. Face mask for cow, great idea. Why didn't we think of that? Great idea. Great, like, oh my God, man. They're like knee deep in their own crap. A face mask? Really? That's going to work? Okay, good. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, it came out. Jane sent it to me today, and I saw it in my newsfeed, and I said, and Jane was very upset, and I was saying, Jane, we need to start laughing at these things. They won't go away until we tell people that we see them as ridiculous. They've gotten to such ridiculous levels of putting face masks on animals to contain their burps. How do you think the animals are going to eat?
They don't need to eat. Don't they they're going to open up more holes in there, right?
To stick food in them?
They don't need to eat, It's and that's the thing, man. We're jumping through even a face masking, like really stupid. Like we really, what you should do, Sally? We should have comedy hour on your show here and talk about all the dumb things that our species have created. That's one of them. It probably does take the cake. That'll be the last one. But we spend so much time, effort, and energy on, again, I'll just use the same analogy, like the water is filling up the boat and we're like, oh, okay, I'll just do it this way. It's like, oh, it's filling up here. Okay, get another different bucket here. It's like, man, like, why are we trying subsidies? Like no other industry in the United States goes to the animal agriculture industry. It's a failing business. That's one of the buckets. They just and it doesn't work. The water keeps pouring it. It's unsustainable on every level. on every level. It's just another bucket, and the water keeps pouring in and pouring in. And at some point, that boat is only so big, it's going to get full and we're going to drown. And I feel like that's why I feel the urgency. That's why we feel the urgency with the organization, and so many other people, yourself, so many other people feel the urgency. Right. And why we those things are quite comical and laughable. It's embarrassing and it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. Right. Like for what reason? For a momentary pleasure? For that moment, we're jumping through all these hurdles for what? For what?
It's actually a lack of leadership, I mean, this is why I think the fact that you're targeting the G7 and telling them to grow up, right? That's really what you're telling them to do.
Yeah.
Grow up and start seeing reality as it is, instead of sitting around pretending.
Yeah.
And I mean, they do a lot of good pretending. They go to places, nice places, sit in big hotels and pretend that they're doing something real.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And we'll check the menu, see what's on it, right? I mean, that's such a huge part of it. And I see it too. Like, I was at a big conservation event a couple years ago. And it's the same there, and in the environmental movement, it's
right.
the same there. It's like, you guys, what, it's a challenging message. And so it gets to be like, for those of us that are moved, I get mad or I get sad. And then I realize inside of, who needs to be angry or sad inside of that. And if you all feel the same way, if you get mad or sad, it's fine. Mad is a little better. It's a better energy. You get mad, but inside of that is a purpose. There's something inside of it. There's a cure. There's a reason. Like, what's the way out? What's the combination? And we could get sad and sulk. We could get mad. We could look at all these horrible pictures. We could read all these things. And, we could eat our Beyond Burgers or whatever we're doing, right? But at the end of the day, if we are not in action, it's complacency to a degree, I have to say. I don't want to condemn anybody for not, but hey, if we could all be in action around something, why wouldn't we? Some way, shape, or form. Something simple, even something simple. Our action is something actually simple, but if we all do a simple action one day, all the organizations, one day, bam, that makes a difference, that gets people's attention one day. And that's what we're after. You can't make that fine. There's things you could do online. We have people that are doing stuff online while we're doing it, with social media, blasting it out there. Hey, here's the action that's happening in Spain. Here's the action that's happening in Mexico. Here's one in Australia. And it's being put all over. You're doing great work. Jane's doing great work. All the organizations that are doing great work. But if we're fighting for butterflies or seals or horse racing, it's all important. But I dare say that if we go through another pandemic like this, which, by the way, as we know, this is low single digit fatality rates, as opposed to massively high double digit fatality rates, 60% in avian flu and 30% in swine flu. If we don't take this seriously, not if, when the next pandemic comes, it just might be the last. It might be the last. And if you don't act on it, you can't say, okay, now I'm going to do, all right, now. How about now? What are you going to do now? Take action now, right this minute, today. I've made a commitment. I'm not out and about every day. I'm doing stuff, I'm doing a lot of work on this computer here. And I've made a commitment every single day of my life that I'm creating some outward motion. And and that's what I think. It's just without a fail, we need to do that. Racism is a bad idea. And if you just sit around and go, that's terrible, racism, sexism, homophobia, oh, that's bad. Yeah, okay, cool. But what are you going to do about it? Do something in your community about it. Do something about something. You got to do it. If you don't, you just click a button, there's something there, but not so much. Be the creator, be the choice, be the person who takes this opportunity to make a difference. And a lot of people have, I will say, from our last initiative, a few people were so inspired that they created new organizations in their towns.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that, it just takes stuff like this. You build it and they will come. and people take stuff on, and we make it easy for them, and we make it important enough, people will take it on. And we're a slow moving species, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it is moving fast, if you ask me, because to me, it's we think that we are not making a difference, but we really are. Like when I wrote the paper, and it was like 2 years ago now, 2019. Jane asked me to write it. I mean, all the time I had the data, I was just sitting there saying, well, this is why I do what I do, right? I'm focusing on veganism. And when then Jane said, you need to write a paper about it, it was easy for me to put it together. So I put it together. And then they said, well, people won't take it seriously unless it's published. I said, okay, all right, fine, we'll get it published. So I went to these magazines, right? I mean, these journals like Nature and Science, and they all rejected it, basically saying, this is not of general interest. I said, what are you talking about? I'm saying that animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change, and you're telling me it's not of general interest? Or is there some agenda going on there, right, behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So, but I sent it to a bunch of journals, and this particular journal, the Journal of Ecological Society, I didn't hear from them, and I thought it was just like any other journal. They're just going to ignore it. And then a year later, when an author contacted me saying, I want to use your paper in my book, but I need to know whether it has been published in the journal. So I forwarded, and she said, I'll be happy to do the review if they're looking for reviewers. I'll be happy. I'm a professor, I'm happy to do the review. And so I sent that email off to the editor saying, she's happy to do the review if you're looking for reviewers. And the editor said, what do you mean? I already accepted your paper. I think that email went into spam folder or something.
Yeah.
So then they published it. And, and you think that once it's published, people started reading it. Okay. That's when really people started reading it. Until then, people really didn't read it as much.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting all kinds of emails from all over the world. People are reading it and they're asking questions. And so they're digging into it. They're understanding it. They're writing summaries of it, reviews of it. Jared Bishop did a video review of it. So I'm saying, don't ever give up. You are making a difference. Okay. Don't ever give up. And so I think that Cargill trying to put a face mask on cows is
progress.
Could be a reaction. I don't know. Because they're desperate now, right?
Yeah.
And we know in history that once we start laughing at our rulers, they lose their power. Okay. This is what happens, at the end when we start laughing at our rulers, our dictators, and suddenly, they no longer have the power that they had to control you. So when we start laughing at this industry that's been ruling us, say, you guys have gotten to the point where you're putting face masks on your animals. Are you crazy?
But it is some progress, right? I mean, it's ridiculous, but to have that they're having that conversation and spent money. I mean, they literally paid money to come up with this idea, and then they promoted it. And you can't get a brilliant paper published, but you can get an article. They can get articles like that all day long. But there is some. Look, the silver lining is of course, as you're sharing. Yeah, for sure, beautiful. Like there's kind of beautiful. There's some discussion about it.
There's some discussion about it.
Ridiculous as it may be, they had to address it in some way, shape, or form. And
we're really not even trying to convince Cargill that it's ridiculous. We are convinced, and we just have to tell the story so that people see that they've gotten to such ridiculous levels, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we are putting face masks is also a bit ridiculous if you think about it, right? So we are going around putting face masks on our faces. Why? Because we don't want to stop eating animals. I mean, because we keep triggering these pandemics. We knew that animals cause pandemics. When? We knew it. 50 years ago, we knew it. What did we do about it? Nothing.
Yeah, the face mask, again, there's so many different feelings and thoughts and beliefs about what's going on. Face masks, vaccines, social distancing, washing your hands.
Right.
Those things are, they're valuable. There's value in them, but it's a surface level of value, and it's not getting to the root cause. And the idea that eating animals causes pandemics, and the origin of this specific meat virus and the others not being discussed at the level that it really should be. And I shouldn't even say that, like, because at all, like in the very beginning it was. And that's just kind of what we do as a species. And you know, we have a billboard campaign, as I shared before. We have about 5 or 6 between US and Canada. And because we just said, listen, we got to take this into our own hands. Like, we have got to educate. We cannot rely on others to do so. So again, I'll even suggest and challenge any of you out there. Like, we just did it in our community. I have my handful of friends or whatever on my social media. I put it out there. Other people did in Canada, all over. And we put it out there, and people a little bit here, there, whatever. We put up a billboard. We'd happy to discuss the process with you. We have a great billboard broker that helps us. So those are ways in which to educate the public at large. And also, it's really important to educate not only ourselves and the public, but it's important to educate the media. And as you said, like, just demand it, like, we're not going away.
Right.
You know, we're not going away. And if we continue to laugh at these absurd ideas that come up, that's a great thing. And to illuminate all the other great ideas that are out there that are available. There's nothing to invent here. There's no big thing to create, like, oh, we don't have oxygen. Let's think about how to make new oxygen. It's like, do you like the taste of animals? Great. Most of us do also. I grew up that way. I can't say that I don't like the taste of the things that I remember, but it's not worth it to me, ethically, morally, and, you know, commonsensically and scientifically. It's just seriously not worth it if I want to be somebody in my society that's valuable in any way, shape, or form. You know, we have an impact here. You know, look, this computer takes resources, all the things we do. I have a car, I have a house. Like, I have a carbon footprint. I do have that for sure. But how can I make it the smallest? I'm not perfect. You know, it's like, you know, just I walk. Sometimes I walk on grass, you know, like, there's all the grass, there's animals that, like, you just do your best. And then when you think you're doing your best, know that there's someone better, look for them, and go even further.
Right.
I have friends that are super raw vegans living out in the woods in Brazil and this and that. Like, wow, it's great. And I thought about that. Yeah, my smallest impact would be if I were to live in a hut or a cave in Costa Rica or Brazil and eat the way, yeah, cool. But you know what? My work is here. Like, this is my work. This is your work. Make it valuable. Make your global footprint, your carbon footprint, like, make your time, effort, and energies here and your actions here completely offset that by what we're doing to create awareness, education, and action in the world, and inspiring others to understand that. Like, other than that, yeah, if you don't want to do that, you just, you know, want to stop eating animals, awesome. There's some really awesome caves and things that you can go to if you just want to be silent about it. But other than that, we're creating a global impact, a carbon footprint that we can, that we have to be mindful of and responsible for. And there's a lot of ways around that, sure.
Yeah, it's important to tell the story and create this positive wave, you know, in the world, which is what you are doing, you know. And it's, and also I think it's important to laugh, like laugh at the state that we are in, and laugh at those who think they know better and who are doing their thing, right? With face masks for cows, face masks for chickens. I mean, they have actually vaccines for chickens now. They're going to give vaccines to chickens so that they don't get avian flu. It's like, you know, I mean, these poor baby chicks running around, they're sticking needles in them, you know, so that we don't get the avian flu that they were going to give us anyway. But, you know, the avian flu keeps changing.
Yeah.
So you have to keep changing the vaccines. You have to keep giving booster shots. For what? For what?
For what? Yeah.
For what? I mean, why are we torturing these animals, right? Going to such ridiculous lengths just so that Cargill can make money? That's the only reason we have to do all this?
Yeah. It doesn't benefit us. It costs us.
Yeah, it costs us tremendously.
Yeah, tremendously, right? On all levels. On
Right.
financial, if you're paying money, and a good percentage of our money in taxes goes to that. Same thing, our health. I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and she's, eating just plants, going vegan, that's expensive. I said, yeah, sure. If you're buying all the, the gourmet foods and stuff. But last I checked, vegetables, rice, beans, grains, they're the cheapest part, and you can look
Absolutely.
at that very simply. A friend was saying, "Oh, I can't do it." I said, "Where do you live?" As a new friend, I said, "Where do you live?" And he told me, I said, "Okay, cool. I'll call you back." And within a half hour, I just searched all the circulars, the newspapers that come out that for the local supermarkets, they have all their specials for every week or
Right.
whatever. And I searched at all the areas, and all of their average sale price for vegetables, 99 cents. The average sale price for meat, $2.99, right? And they have tons of it. So that's it. It's cheap. Here's the other thing too. If it's more expensive, and this is something that really hit home for this woman I was speaking with yesterday, I said, and she's of African descendancy. I said, that almost 70% of all people of African descendancy are lactose intolerant, and the thing you're holding on to is this. Let's just say this. Let's say it costs more. How much money do you spend on drugs? You told me that you have allergies. Diabetes is kicking in. All these things. Maybe you get some headaches, fever, whatever, right? How much money do you actually spend to consume this other stuff that isn't working for your body? Also, what is that putting into our environment that is inevitably destroying the environment for your daughter, who's young daughter? For your daughter, we're preparing this place. If you were going to have a child and you had a room in your house that you're preparing, you're not going to just keep throwing garbage in that room and keep throwing garbage. No, we keep it clean. We do our best to make it clean and safe. Same thing. So this is the same thing. We're bringing children into this room, and then we're teaching them either how to live sustainably, ethically, and responsibly in every way possible, or we're continuing the same things that we were taught by our parents who are not nutritionists, who are not thinking about things maybe in the most ethical way, that are doing things based on tradition, convenience, and habits. It's mindful for us to be going around and thinking about, like, Tolstoy said, leading an uninspected life is what did he say at the end? But leading an uninspected life is not worth living, basically.
Right. Yeah. Unexamined life is not worth living. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. An unexamined life is not worth living. And so that's, maybe that's why we're here. But if not, like, let's just take a look. Just take a look around. Just sit. What am I doing to contribute to this? And what am I doing not to? Or in the positive way, like, what can I do, like, to be a welcome guest here while I'm here for the 80 years, 90, whatever years I'm going to be here? A lot less if you're eating animals. It'll be less.
No, we are going to have a beautiful planet for our children and grandchildren. I'm determined. I mean, my granddaughter has said, this is what I want, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to figure out how to get it for you.
You're doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Jyoti actually put the Instagram link for G7, instagram.com/G7. So please send them,
Yeah.
photographs and media contact for G7. I'll put that up also.
Beautiful.
G7 media at cabinetoffice.gov.uk.
Yeah.
And G7 correspondence at cabinetoffice.gov.uk. So please email them, tell them about eating animals causes pandemics. Let's do a Twitter blast on them, and let's do an email blast on them, so that they understand that we know, we are watching them. And Sue actually suggested, was it Emek who suggested that we need to give them brain masks, so they don't come up with this kind of ideas, right? So this diarrhea that's putting face masks on cows and things like that.
That sounds like a Sue. That sounds like a Sue action there for sure. She's a good one. Yeah. We have to. We just have to have these conversations. I know one of the things that's been talked about, a lot, and as we see it, there's so many great actions that I would say, like Animal Rebellion has recently done, where really great actions going to the McDonald's distribution centers in the UK, And it requires us to do something. You know, do you want to go that far? I mean, they went far, man. That was amazing, really beautiful action, and caught the attention of all major news media. So do we have to do that? Okay, so we'll do that. You know, that's what we got to do. And if we all, you know, look, if you're worried about getting in trouble or whatever, like, what's going to happen? And if we all did it, all of us say, hey, just one day, one action, just they can't take us all. And at the end of the day, if they did, it's all good, because we have an opportunity. And I strongly believe we have an urgent responsibility to create the legacy of our choice. Right. And for me, that's when I connected with not eating animals and not being a part of anything having to do with animals. That's where I really connected. Like, wow, this is who I am, right? So that's who you are. You know, you're not Silas Rao. You're not. That's our name, right? Ray Ippolito is our name. Who we are when we die off is how we left this place. Is the actions and the legacy that we left behind. And so you created such beautiful work in your life thus far, in specific response to a beautiful little grandchild, to say, yeah, you know, this is how I'm leaving this place for you. Like I'm with you. I'm going to do it. And then you have another little young one, Greta Thunberg, right? Who's out making some waves. Beautiful young lady who's really sharing so eloquently and powerfully, and has recently, you know, of course, she's vegan as well, and she's doing it because environment's important to her. And how could you not? You know.
Well, it's important to all of us, you know. I mean, it is. I mean, as you said, this is the legacy we are leaving our children.
Yeah.
And we want our children and grandchildren to look back at us, at our generation, with fondness, not sit around cursing us, right? So I really want to. I mean, we can do this. I see the solution right in front of my eyes, right? This beautiful solution of compassion for all life.
Yeah.
It's there for us to take. We just have to grab it and say, this is the solution we want, not the face mask for cows solution that Cargill is coming up with. You know, I tell Cargill, I mean, I said this is like the most ridiculous proposal that I've ever heard in my engineering career. Putting face mask on cows. Okay. Yeah. Now you've gone really far, too far, way too far. Yeah. And I think people who eat animals will also agree with us that they've gone too far. You know, when they talk about putting face masks on cows to prevent methane, to capture the methane. And Ray is talking about making the brain masks of tinfoil.
Yeah, we got to do something to the brains. I don't know what it is. But your work, what you're doing, what we're doing, what other organizations are doing, and again, you don't have to be part of an organization. Just be in action. Right. That's all we're asking. Please be in action. Cargill has gone insane. That's very kind of you, actually, to say that. I imagine that you're keeping it very, very PG for this podcast, because there's a lot of other words that come to mind. But it's really, you know, to look at something like that and to say for grown adults to make a suggestion like that, for grown adults to not address the real problem when we have all the solutions, like you said. So yeah, the positive message, we have the solutions. Remove animals from our control, from our use, abuse, and consumption. Remove that. We will not have to deal with the same things that are happening. Just remove it. Oh, you like the taste of that? No problem. There are so many companies. No matter where I travel, man, there's so many great options. This is not 1971 where you have like choices of tofu and walnuts. We have everything. We have sushi, we have pizza, we have ice cream, and we have all the garbage and all the good food and all the vegetables. We've never had worldwide distribution of food like this ever. You can get jackfruit from Brazil. You can get, you know, lychee from Thailand, whatever. That also has its implications. Do we really need all that? No. However, why pay for something where we take all those resources and pump those through an animal to get 1/10 of a calorie back and have the global footprint that is above and beyond atrocious and embarrassing and dangerous, when we can really just have everything that we want and live super strong, powerfully. I mean, we have it all, and our leaders know that. But when you look at the amount of money that they made off of just this vaccine alone, all the medical attention, they all made crazy money from that. Why? Why would they do it any different? If I were them, I would have the next vaccine. I'd scare everybody with a whole bunch of other variants. If that's how your mind works, yeah. If you're motivated by money, and yeah, sure. Like you guys think it's not coming again? It's coming again, and who knows what's going to happen. So it's better if we remove ourselves. Prevention is a fantastic thing. You almost hear nothing about, because that doesn't really cost a lot of money. You can eat in a way that your body is strongest and alkaline. Fantastic. You could take supplements, wear a mask, you wash your hands, all those things. These are preventative things. Getting to the root cause of it is always going to be the number one action that we should all take. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's embarrassing too, when you're talking to people, and people are pushing back. People are pushing back. Meat companies are pushing back. Dairy companies are pushing back. Everyone's pushing back and say, "Oh, it's not a problem. Oh, it's this and that." Da, da, da. And we can see very clearly all the industrial slaughterhouses and everything have the highest rates of this virus for numerous reasons. Obviously, they're working with the animals that are affected, but also the conditions for workers are atrocious. And we just need to educate more, inspire more, and all of us who are moved to take care of it ourselves. Again, I keep going over this because I really think it's the most important thing. We have to be in action in some way, shape, or form. It's not enough to just deal with ourselves. Like, we have to multiply. We have to multiply, and we have to inspire change. There are tons of incredible films out there that show absolutely everything. If you go to Eating Animals Causes pandemics.com, we have a list of incredible videos and that are there. The white paper, please, if you haven't read that, that's brilliant. I mean, like 86%?
87%. At least 87%. It's a lower bound.
Wow. Like, yeah, you don't, that those figures were never factored in, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So these are really, really, really important. These are really vital things. And thank you for that. And thank everyone for all the work that they're doing. And that kind of work that you're doing, there's not a lot of work, right? It's like, how many people are producing, reports like that and articles like that? Not so many. So, but we all doing our part, if we're doing our part. And if it's just ourselves, that's cool. It ain't going to move the needle. You're not going to be a bad person if you just, remove yourself from that industry by going vegan, but you're also not moving it forward like you can. We need to move our numbers. It's essential. It's essential.
Absolutely. So it's activism. It's, to me, for me, speciesism is also colonialism, racism, ableism, and patriarchy all put together. It's all rolled into one.
Yeah.
Colonialism, racism, ableism, and patriarchy, which stands for crap. So CRAP, So speciesism is crap, so let's just abandon it.
Yeah.
Practicing it is, especially if you think you're a anti-colonialist or anti-racist or or a feminist. It's about time that we give up speciesism.
Yeah, for sure.
Animals,
If we're honest about it, right? If we're honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's becoming more and more obvious. It's becoming more and more like in your face. You're seeing it.
Yeah.
You're seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing it because people are producing content, right? So that's again. So there's so many different things, right? How can I insist that you go take action? Maybe you don't have the physical means to do so. Maybe you don't have legs. Maybe you have emotional stuff. Okay. Create a video at home. Send it to all your friends. Stop just being friends with vegans, by the way. We need to open up. I have so many friends like, I don't have any non-vegan friends. Like, well, you got to make them. You can't just keep preaching to the choir. It's important that we don't. I don't need to see another video on that stuff, but I need to have it to give it to somebody. I don't particularly eat the plant-based meats and stuff like that, but I do try them all in order to share with somebody. It's like, oh, I can't do without sausage. Oh, well, check this
There
out.
you go. Right. Here you go.
Yeah, you got to know, and that's the same thing, what Jane's doing too. She's created, look, I know Jane, and she's a toughie, man. She wants to let everyone know what's up and get into it. But there's also a part like, okay, cool. What's attracting people? Like, people want to know about food, it's, at the end of the day, it's about that. So there's ways in which that we can all be a part of it. If you're part of if you're part of a business and you go to work and you have an office and there's people there, organize a day where there's food that's being delivered or whatever that people can involve. Maybe a day, a retreat, something, like you are an opportunity. You are an opportunity to make a difference in your life. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Like, what are you a part of? Oh, you're a parent and your kid belongs to a baseball team. Oh, and you're going to go play baseball? Go find a local food truck if you have one in your area and tell them to show up at the place where your kids are playing. That's one way. I can go through a million ways, but if you just think about that, what about, all the stuff we're doing here, attacking media, or, I don't want to say attacking, but like insisting that they cover our stuff. What about if you want to create a billboard? You don't have to leave your house to do these things. Like, all these things, even this initiative we created as a result. A lot of the team is in Canada. They're on lockdown, man. They can't go anywhere. So all this work, this is what we're doing with our busy spare time, or whatever you could say, our lockdown time, and creating this initiative. This is created out of that. We can't go anywhere. Cool.
Right.
But we can do all these things. It's really a vital reality in our world. Like, if you just sit and think about the myriad of things that you can create. There's quite, and you can look at the things that other people have done. And if you're not sure, message me. I have a list of things, but please, we have to do something. If we slightly even half believe all the predictions, like we've been talking about before, where the IPCC 3 years ago said that we have 11 years to drastically change our habits. Because if we don't, there will be irreversible feedback loops within our environment. One will break down, that'll break down another, and that's it. We could see that. It's not like it's going to show up in 11 years. As a matter of fact, 8 years, right? That was 3 years ago. It's not like it's just going to, turn on. It's happening at the moment. It's happening absolutely everywhere. And it's going to, one day it's going to be too late. And I will not be, I'll look back possibly and say I could have done more, you could always look back, but I will not be anyone to say that I didn't really try really hard to do something, neither yourself and so many others, I'm sure, out there watching. And I would also challenge all of you that are doing something, up the game. Commitment.
The game, absolutely. Yeah.
Man.
So we all, as I say, we all have our own symphony. We need to bring out our song and start singing as loudly as possible, because this is an orchestra.
Yeah.
You're in an orchestra. The vegan movement is an orchestra. It's not a solo act.
Yeah.
And the louder we sing, the easier it is for other people to hear us, and they will come to our side, because this is the only way out. Okay, this is a solution we are offering them.
Yeah,
it's a solution. The other side is not a solution. Putting masks on cows, that's where they've gotten to. Okay, that's how ridiculous they've gotten to. Next, they're going to be talking about diapers on cows, because it comes out the other end too. Excuse me.
That's true. That's true. Well, hey, you better come up with that one quick. Yeah.
And patent it right away.
$1 billion thing, make some cash, and then put it back into our movement.
No, thank you. I mean, the cash that they are all accumulating right now is going to be worth nothing. When we change our system, it's going to be worth nothing. So, What are you accumulating? Nothing. Garbage. Pieces of paper with pictures of dead presidents on them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's so true.
So we need to start seeing the reality of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think obviously this is going to happen. This is going to happen because we are showing the way that there is a solution out there. Okay, and it's a solution that's backed by science. Science is telling us if you stop herding animals, 3/4 of the pandemics go away, right? At least 3/4. I think even that is an underestimate, in my opinion. Okay,
Yeah,
because
you should come out
I'm
with
looking.
blue paper. Come out with that another
Well,
one.
I mean, I was looking at all the major pandemics in the world, and you can see an animal origin to all of them. So, where are the other 1/4 that they're talking about that didn't come from animals? I don't see it.
Yeah, and also the other part of that too is, look, if there are other things out there that are not caused by our use, abuse, and consumption of animals, but if we didn't do that and we had an optimal immune system, that's an angle to look at. Like, how
Right.
would it have affected? Oh, well, what's the immune system like? What does it look like between a person who's not eating animals and a person who's eating animals? We already know these statistics. They're already out there. Okay, cool. So by looking at those numbers, consider that what is the possibility and the efficacy of that lifestyle in combating other viruses, bacteria, whatever that are combating, in our immune system.
Yeah.
That's, the angle to look at. Like, okay, cool. And the environmental, how many people have problems with breathing? How many people have problems with water pollution? Like, so
Right.
we're all these things. It's similar to what you did with the white paper, right? To look at, like, it's not just this thing. Like, we're not just in a bubble. It's like, it's connected to so many, like you were even saying before, feminism, racism, sexism, homophobia, all these different isms all come from the same place. It's all coming from oppression. It's all coming from fear. And if we were to remove all of those, then we would be eating a certain way. We would be treating others the same way. I was just sharing one of my most dear friends. I love her with all my heart. She's one of my best friends. She posts about dogs all the time, loves dogs, loves cows, loves chickens and pigs in different ways. She eats those, but pets the other ones. And that doesn't make any sense. She shares this beautiful comment and article about racism. And it's like, okay, but just take that first part of the word out. What is an ism? Let's look at what an ism is, right? And are there any isms that you're cool with? Because I know all these isms you're against, except for one, speciesism, and they're interconnected. You can't sit. Can you? Yeah, we could take a mind and push things. Oh, this is this animal. This is this one's a pet, and this one's an animal that we eat, and this is this
Right.
vitamin from this and that. I don't eat those. Like, come on, let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's time to be honest. It's too much work, man. A whole friggin' year we've been dealing with this stuff, and that's just one little thing. What is the fatality rate of this? Is it like it's 0.5% to 2%, something?
Well, it's about less than 2%.
Yeah, less than 2%. And we're looking again, I mentioned before, swine flu, 60%. I'm sorry, 30%, and avian flu, 60%. Yeah, different types of infectious rates and whatnot. But the reality is, if we get something that's, what about double? What about 4%? What about 4% fatality rate? That's not a large number in the world of pandemics. God forbid we get something, or maybe, God willing, we get something that's at 4%. Can you imagine if we had double the impact of what happened with this last thing that's not gone away, by the way, folks? UK minister, vaccine minister, clearly said there's 4,000 variants out there. So we have to be mindful. And we didn't hear, of course, not too long ago that, oh, by the way, if you got vaccine number 1 and vaccine number 2, you're going to have to get a booster for number 3. I mean, how many more vaccines or boosters are you willing to take? Should we just have an IV walking around with us all the time, eating our burgers, like have an IV of vaccines? I mean, this doesn't make sense. We're doing it backwards. We're doing it just thoroughly backwards, and we don't need to. We don't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, there was a study done that said that when you eat right, in fact, they did it with people. When you eat right, that group that ate right, their mortality rate decreased by a factor of 7, or their severity rates decreased by a factor of 7, something like that, which is like an 85% reduction in severity, right? Which is almost as good as this vaccine that they have come up with.
Sounds better to me.
So eating right is the best vaccine you can give. It's an all-purpose vaccine.
Yeah.
for all diseases, So anyway, thank you so much, Ray. More power to you. I love talking to you,
I love
and we'll
talking to you.
keep coming back. We'll keep doing this until, as we said, we are going to have a vegan world
Yeah, yeah.
by
We're working
2026.
on it. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me, Sailesh. I'm always honored to be in your presence. You're doing and have done such great work, and it's inspiring. I hope others are inspired by it. I'm sure that they are. I know me and my team are. We're always grateful for your care and your willingness to help and support and get behind us. So thank you so much. And whoever's watching out there, June 10th, we have a couple, about a week and a half, June 10th, June 13th. It's not too late. Get a handful of friends together. Let's make some media calls, show up at media, show up at government buildings, show up at places of interest where there are a lot of people, and shout from the rooftops that eating animals causes pandemics. Please go to our website at eatinganimalscauses.pandemics.com and look for us on Facebook as well as Instagram. And we have it all set up for you. We have a really extremely comprehensive and easy toolkit to help you make this extremely powerful action. So please take this one on. We're grateful for your care for the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.